Alright, our latest fun little project. This is an Ives Prewar 3258 locomotive that somebody customized pretty heavily. Um, the frame is an original frame. This was a lithographed shell. The ones that I've seen were green, but someone in the past decided to do some heavy modifications and make it kind of fun. So they added this pantograph on the top, and originally they actually had a wire soldered to it, and that was the power for the motor. They took off the roller pickup off the center rail and were powering things with the pantograph. I don't have an overhead line like that, so I disconnected it. The pantograph had one of these ends broken off at the screw, so I made a new one out of wood and crazy glued it on to make it match. The headlight was missing, so I took a cup and soldered this little brass flat piece on the top, and then ran that down through the place where the tabs would have gone and soldered it to the inside, but it looked kind of homemade like the rest of this thing did. I had this really cool little brass bell that I picked up, and there was a hole already drilled in it, so we used that. Whoever modified this ahead of time, these little axle journals are soldered on. They're brass. Those were an add-on to this Ives frame. The handrails were all added. This block of wood at the end and the stairs were added. It had these little knuckle couplers and all this little extra wiring. Whoever did this did a really, really cool, nice job making it work. Obviously, the custom paint job with the Peewar bonds. On the back end, I went ahead and added a Lionel coupler, because that little knuckle coupler they had on there really didn't fit anything that I had, and all it took was one little screw. It looks really shiny black right now, but as soon as it gets dusty, it will kind of blend into everything else. I didn't do much to the outside of this. I gave it a bath. On this spot right here on the edge, the paint had flaked away, and right here, paint had flaked away, and the paint that was left was coming up on the edges. And then right here around the R, same thing. The paint flaked off. It was bright, shiny silver, and the paint around the edges was loose. So what I did is mixed colors as close as I possibly could and actually forced some paint underneath the remaining paint with a brush just to kind of hold the rest in place. Not repainting it, because somebody did a really cool job on this, and just kind of stabilize what's there. There was one little touch-up spot right on the corner. Same thing. We could have left it, but I was afraid of the rest of the paint flaking. So I kind of wanted to stabilize the paint. These Peewar bonds and the TRRA are little water slide decals, and this 0 was missing on the 60, and then above the door on both ends, the 0 was missing. So I had some rubber stamps that matched pretty close, or slightly bigger, but I added that 60, the 0 to the 6 to get the 60. So when I got this, like I said, it was a little bit dirty, but in pretty decent shape. Missing a headlight, missing the little bell on the back. The oddity about this is it's not an Ives motor. The Ives motor is long gone, and whoever did this cool thing actually put a Marx motor in it. And when it came in, the wheels wouldn't turn. The geared wheels had started to deteriorate and expand, and everything was locked up. The motor hadn't been oiled in a really long time. The brushes were kind of worn out on it. So I actually had a Marx motor laying around that somebody had stripped the copper wire off of the field. So we just used it to push around the train tracks for my kids to play with. But it had decent wheels. So we took the wheels off of that, took the wheels off of this. I tried making one. I bought the little roller collector, slide collector for this. I thought it'd be really cool to use like an American Flyer little collector, and I just could not quite get the height right. So I picked up a Marx collector for the center rail so that this could get wired and run on my tracks. The nice thing is it's got a reverse switch. The little Marx stuff is pretty bulletproof, so it works really, really, really nice. You can see the light comes on nice and bright, which I like a lot, and it runs really smooth. A little bit of gear noise, but it's a super cool little train. Like I said, I think it's an Ives 3258, post pre-war, but like late 1920s. But somebody kind of turned it into folk art. And yeah, I could strip it down and make it look shiny again, but somebody put a lot of time and effort into it, and it is now back on the rails and running just like it did back in the day. Very cool little piece. I kind of fantasize, wouldn't it be neat if it was running in somebody's shop front window during World War II, and kind of their own little personal way to be patriotic and run things in a store display. Might not have happened, but it's a cool little thing to think about. So, a little folk art train project.